Snack time!
Hey everyone, my name's Steve Bankert. I'm a gameplay designer on 2XKO. Me being part of the project was this wild stars aligning moment, finishing up my degree, playing a ton of fighting games. I was like following the, at the time, Project L news, so excited for the game. And I saw an internship open up with the team. You know, I have to apply and just at least take a shot at it. I didn't expect to actually get picked, but things ended up working out where they gave me an interview. That went pretty well. I ended up getting the internship. I worked there for a few months and I was so fortunate where the team's just fantastic. I made a lot of great connections on the team and got to do some work on some of the champions you see at Evo. And they ended up bringing me on full time. So I've been with the team for almost 3 years now. And it's totally changed my life. Like when I think about where I was at before and now it's just been a totally wild ride for me to be part of this team. And it's a dream come true, truly.
Braum time!
He's known throughout Runeterra as sort of this like mythical figure. Everywhere he goes, he is helping people wherever they need it. So that's really what we were trying to do with Braum, just create the feeling of you being this hero. And he's got so much personality, and of course he's got the muscles and the mustache and the poros. So that's sort of what we were going for, like creating this almost like folklore tall tale hero. I think Braum is a great pick for 2XKO for a ton of reasons. We so badly want that 2v2 experience to shine. You know, that's what makes our game unique. So Braum giving you the opportunity to jump in and protect your teammates, feel like you are playing sort of this like defensive hero role. Because we're gonna have plenty of characters who are rushing you down and doing all sorts of offensive shenanigans. So Braum is really our opportunity to make you feel like you're part of a team and utilize these more defensive mechanics for the game. I feel like he hits a really nice point of variation for our roster where he sort of like adds this defensive utility support role that our roster has needed. So Braum's like a disruptor. He like thwarts your enemy's plans while letting you run your offense and do what you want to do. And I think we did a pretty good job of translating some of those moves over. They're not exactly one-to-one, but I think for the genre we're working with and for working with a fighting game, they work pretty successfully for our game. Braum's role in 2XKO is, I feel, pretty faithful to his MOBA interpretation. He can use his back S2, stand behind me, and his back assist to armor through enemy attacks and create opportunities for his teammate to score a clean hit. That's huge in this game, especially because it's so frantic. Sometimes there's 4 characters on screen at the same time and you're tagging in and you're tagging out and it just gets so wild. And Braum gives you a chance to sort of like find some calm. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to tank everything for you. And you can set up what you need to set up or get your projectiles going, whatever it is. But he's also pretty solid as a damage dealer. We've had to give him like enough offense to compete with other characters in the game. So he sort of fills this like big body bruiser. There's some slight grappler elements in there, in addition to all he can do on the disruption and support side.
We have talked internally about what would happen with support champions in our game for a long time. You know, should we have some more formal notion of roles in our game? And I think very quickly became clear that that wasn't right for our game in terms of what feels exciting for a fighting game and how people work together, especially in duos. But nonetheless, we understand that a big part of the support characters in the league is the fantasy of helping your teammate and that being a big part of what you're there for. And so Braum I'd say was our first attempt to really bridge that gap and ask, what would a support champion in League look like in 2XKO, even though they won't be a support champ in the traditional sense, right? And so for us, that meant making sure that his abilities to assist his teammate, and not in the sense of assist attacks, but just to make them stronger, to make them do the thing that they are great at even more easily, even more powerfully, his abilities to do that should be above and beyond those of any other character in the game. Similarly, his ability to kind of work alongside his teammate should be very, very strong. When he has a teammate on his side, Braum should be incredibly strong. The counterpoint of that is that when Braum is solo, it's a little bit tough. He's still perfectly competent as a solo champ, I think much more so than people who think about a support character would expect, but he has some weaknesses there, right? It's a little bit hard for him to get in. He's kind of slow. He doesn't really have mix. The fact that we have these support characters forces us to think about our game in a slightly different way and make sure they're expressed in a really resonant fashion. So there are a lot of support champions that people love. We don't want to just say they can't be in the game. We want to be able to bring them in and really understand, like, hey, what is their role here? Like how can we do something unique that still captures their fantasy?
With them, you get the horse!
seeing some of the unexpected behaviors for Braum, I think it's been seeing how much value players are getting out of the tools. Like, for example, with Poro Toss. When we were designing that move, we were like, hey, this will be kind of a utility move for Braum. It might have some niche applications. It'll kind of be like a weak projectile, but still one you can use to kind of harass and catch your opponent off guard. But we've seen so much out of Poro Toss from players, from Oki setups to frame kills. I think the ways that people sort of use his back S2, stand behind me, they'll like feint it almost, like they'll like represent it and then drop it and represent it and then drop it. And it puts a lot of mental pressure on the opponent because you're like, oh, I have to deal with this move in a very specific way. And now he's kind of like taunting me with it. And like, I'm not sure if I should go in and try to throw him or if I should just run my game plan as normal. And then I also just think the player combinations. Like some of the members of our GAT team, they've been playing a lot of Braum Echo. They think Braum Echo is super strong. So seeing the ways in which they use Braum to give Echo space to set up his clones and set up rewind shenanigans, that's been so impressive. Honestly, one of the biggest lessons of this project is the players are always going to surprise you. They're always going to push it harder than you think it can be pushed. And it's kind of our job to, as hard as it is, to anticipate how far they will push and try and like give them tools where they can push in a way that's not only exciting for them, but it's also fun for both players. I've loved this genre my entire life. I've always loved fighting games. Like X-Men Children of the Atom was the first game I ever owned. And even like I started as just like mashing punches and mashing directions, and sometimes a special move would happen, and learning about Evo, learning about the competitive scene, you know, developing favorite players, following the community, starting to travel for tournaments, competing, and now working on the games. It's almost indescribable. This genre means so much to me, and this community means so much to me. I just feel really lucky to have been a part of almost like every phase of it, from like very casual player to fan to competitive player to now developer. And it means the world to me too, to like see people I know and people I've competed with and played with trying out the game and giving their feedback, and whether they love it or maybe they don't love it so much, that's okay. Because really this game is like it's a love letter to the fighting game community in a way. We want the players to just have so much fun with it. We're all working so hard to develop it. And I guess I see this as almost like a very improbable but like experience I'm just so grateful for at the end of the day, to work with this team and to make a game that we hope the FGC is just really gonna love.
Unstoppable! Braum wins!